guys, my name is Sonia Singh, and I welcome you to another podcast of Searching Paradise, where my goal is to take you a step closer to happiness and your own version of paradise. Today, we have an amazing guest, and I love talking to him. I can talk to him for hours and hours. Thank you so much for being here, Chizubel. Thank you.
It's amazing. I mean, I've waited for this day since we started speaking, and I was when you first reached out to me and said you wanted to speak to me on a podcast. I'm like, okay, where's this gonna go? But now I'm here. I am so excited. We've spoken before now. We have so much in common, and the vision is great. And I just want to share what I have inside with you and your audience and and everyone listening. So please take me through the journey. I want to also search for paradise as well. So I need to know what that
Yeah,
means for me.
yeah, and for people who do not know and they're just getting to know us, that we have this amazing bond and we keep talking for hours. I think that's something amazing. Since day one, we've been doing it, and we have so much vision in common. So that is a really good thing that I enjoy, and I want people to know a lot about you also. So I would really want you to start by giving us insights about what do you do and where do you come from and what is it about you and the whole risk factor. I think that's amazing.
That's fine. My name is Chizubel Egwudo. A lot of my friends or people call me Cheese for short. So whatever it is, you can call me Cheese or Chizubel. I'm here in the United Kingdom. I was born here. I grew up in Nigeria because, as a young child, my parents took us back home, as typical African parents do back then. So I spent a lot of my time growing up in Nigeria, but I came back here in '96 and been here ever since, which has been great. And I have used my time here to really bring to life what I've always wanted to be. And that's a business owner. Being an entrepreneur is something I've always wanted to do from a very young child, from when I was in school. I keep selling pens or having to create cards. I love the idea of being independent, and that's what I am today. I'm an independent business owner. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm growing my brands. You mentioned risk. Yes, that's my thing. That's what I do. I don't know what to call myself yet, but the vision I have is to empower people so they can achieve their purpose through risk. Now, a lot of people think about risk and they think about risk as something bad. And I'm sure you've thought about that as well. Most people
Yeah.
think, most people think, oh, that's risky. Stay away from that. But what a lot of people don't understand is that in this subject or in the discipline of risk, that there is the good side and there's the bad side. So risk is just the umbrella. Now, what I've done is taken that a step further, and I came up with the concept of the risk of you. Without humans, you don't have risk. So the risk of you means that you as a person influences the outcome. Does that make sense?
Not really, but you might have to explain further.
Okay, so let me explain a bit more with my definition of risk. Okay, before I do that, let me go to the old definition of risk, or what you guys know to be risk, because people say risk is something that can have a negative impact on you, or something that's dangerous, or it's a hazard. In the subject of risk, they say risk is that thing that if it happens, it can have a negative outcome or it can have a positive outcome. So that's the thing. Now, in my time, when I spend time with clients and working through them to optimize their business practices so they can take things through a risk-based approach, a lot of the focus is on the negative. And that doesn't work because in risk itself, like I said, there's a good side and there's a bad side, what we call the negative and the positive, or what you call threats and opportunities. Now, my version of risk is saying that you as a person, you are the risk. As a business, you are the risk. So my definition of risk is that risk is a person or an entity with a purpose. Risk is a person or an entity. An entity is a business, an organization, a company, a country, a nation, an economy with a purpose. Because what's lacking with the current way of thinking about risk is that it's not aligned with purpose. And that's what I saw as a flaw while working with so many organizations, and they have a risk framework and it doesn't work. So I came up with my own version, which I am promoting hardly through my brand, The Risk of You. The Risk of You is my brand, and is also a movement to get people to think about your purpose, achieving your purpose, because how we think affects how we behave. And I'm sure you know that already through what you do, while searching paradise. How we think or how we feel affects the outcome. If you think negative all the time, the outcome is going to be negative.
Negative, yeah.
And that's what I'm changing through The Risk of You. It's empowering people so they can achieve their purpose. Go back to my definition of risk. Risk is a person or an entity with a purpose. You have to have a purpose. Define that purpose, because you determine the outcome, whether you achieve that purpose or you don't. And it's as simple as that. And that's a more empowering way to think about risk, as opposed to thinking about, oh, it's risky, it's bad, stay away, don't do it, don't start that business today, don't take that course, it's not good for you, you don't know if it's going to work. You see, all those negative way of reasoning is what holds a lot of people back from truly becoming their best selves. And that's what I'm changing through The Risk of You.
I think, and that's a complete different approach than what we are conditioned about. And, from childhood, you're told, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, you don't touch this, don't eat this. And I think that don't factor has become a risk for us as well. And the moment I hear risk, it's just like a warning sign. It's like a red sign,
Don't
and
go
you're like,
there.
don't. And anything that I find discomforting also, and everybody has this tendency of just avoiding it. And to simply think of it as a risk, that's something that you don't take. The chances that you don't take is often that you turn it, then it turns into regret. I think that's something that you come from, and I like the idea of it. So how do we implement in our life, and similarly in business as well? So what are your
Absolutely, that's a great question. The way you implement that, or this concept of The Risk of You, is number one, you need to know that what you do or how you think creates the result of what you do, or how you think. Let me make that simpler. Now, how we perceive ourselves usually results in what we produce. If we perceive ourselves as, oh, I'm incapable of doing this, I might as well let someone else do it, I'm not good enough, then that's what it's going to be. I think it's in physics where they say, for every action, there's an equal. How does it?
Equal and opposite reaction.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's as simple as that. What you put in is what you get out. And it's as simple as that. So to eliminate this limiting mindset that we can't do it, we have to first of all believe that we have the abilities to do it. I read the story of 7-Up, the soda drink. You know the soda drink 7-Up?
Yeah.
Do you know why it's called 7-Up?
No.
Because he failed 7 times.
Oh, okay.
That's why it's called. That's why the soda is called 7-Up. Yeah, okay. He failed 7 times. So the way we think about failure, or the way we feel about failure, affects us. Now, if you think about failure, and I'm going to give you a really good insight here on someone I read about. The way we think about, if we think failure means I can't do it, then that's what it's going to become. But if we think failure as, oh, okay, I didn't achieve that, but I have learned something, then failure becomes a lesson.
Yeah.
I read a book, it's called The Art of Significance, Achieving the Level Beyond Success. It's such a great title. The Art of Significance, Achieving the Level Beyond Success. It's by a guy called Dan Clark. And he used to be an NFL player in the US, and he had this massive injury where he got paralyzed during training, and he was in bed, I don't know for how long, quite a number of months. And it was only when he changed his mindset about questioning, why me, that he began to heal, because he started to think positively. And I believe that we can heal ourselves through positive thinking.
Yeah.
Now, he said this, and I'm going to quote him. He said, "Pain is a signal to grow and not to suffer. When you learn the lesson pain teaches in life, there are no more mistakes, but lessons." You see the reversal?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the same approach I'm taking with the risk of you. It's taking something that people have been wired to think negatively about and turning that into opportunity, into reward. Yeah. When you think risk is negative all the time in life or in business, that's what it's going to produce for you. But when you align your thinking of risk to purpose, why are you here? Then you are driven to want to achieve your purpose in life and in business. There's no difference, because people run businesses. Sometimes we seem to have this attitude that, oh, business is something abstract for me. No, people run businesses. Yeah. So we think of people like, I'll throw some names out there. Let's say Jeff Bezos, Amazon, Elon Musk, Tesla. They're human beings.
Yeah.
They have feelings like you and I.
Yeah.
And I always say, when I have conversations with my friends, I will have these, debates about, sometimes why we don't achieve a certain level. I always say, Jeff Bezos hasn't got two brains. He's got the same one brain as you and I. He didn't come out from his mother's womb a genius. Elon Musk wasn't born, a billionaire. Well, he might have, some great parental background where they've got lots of money, but he became what he became, as a result of challenging themselves. And we all have that opportunity. I believe everyone on this planet has that opportunity. We just have to find it. And I don't care where you are in the world, whether in some slum in the ghetto, everyone is born equal in mind. And we just have to find that opportunity. Sometimes we stop searching, we stop finding, because we think that our destiny has been defined for us by someone else. That's a lie. Why should a fraction of people own all the wealth in the world? That's because we stopped searching, we stopped trying, we gave it up. Hey, Jeff Bezos, take, you can have my millions. Elon Musk, take, Microsoft, take. I don't want to search anymore. I don't want to aim, higher anymore. You take my own share. That's crazy. I'm going to take my share. Take your share, Sonia.
I think that is true. And I would say that a lot of people give up so easily just
Very
because
easily.
because maybe they are still living in past. Maybe, the present situation is not what they want it to be like. But I always wonder, like, everybody has this ignition inside them. Everybody has this burning fire to do something. It can be as simple as opening a bakery shop, or just selling cakes from home, to writing
Absolutely.
a book, to writing a poem. But what happens? How do you get confined into, such situations that you feel anxious, you feel depressed? Like, what can be the situation? Like, what happens there?
Let me use a personal experience to answer that question.
Yes, love it, love.
I'm going to use a personal experience. Now, I was married. I'm divorced now. I had a very messy divorce. Now, that divorce took me to ground zero. I mean, I was doing so well. I was, one of the top consultants in risk and all that, worked for multiple organizations. And then that period came 2015 right up until 2016, ending 2017, the worst period of my life. I lost every goddamn thing I owned, from living in a 4-bedroom house to sleeping on the floor in my friend's bedroom in one of his spare rooms. Yeah, that's ground zero. But I didn't feel defeated. And that's coming back to people giving up too soon. Yeah. Sometimes it goes to extreme whereby people have gotten so low as a result of what's happened to them in life that they sadly take their own lives. Life is beautiful. Going low is a simple, automatic, not automatic, but there's just a simple adjustment of the way we think about things, the way we perceive things can change our outlook. Now, did I feel regret that I lost everything? Hell no. They're all material things. I can get them back. I had a beautiful car. I had a lovely house. I'm crazy about watches. I love watches. I had expensive watches. I had to sell most of those things to make money, to get a bit of money so I can pay for basic things. But here I am today, back again. And I didn't have my brands then. But during that time, what was I doing? I wasn't leaving my mind idle because I know the things, what I have in my mind that created me, the wealth I had then, is still there. That's not taken from me. But I can allow it to be taken from me if I allow that momentary period of sadness where I've lost this, I've lost that, my kids, I don't see them as often as I do anymore. If I allow that to cloud my vision of where I want to be in the future, then that's me giving up. Sometimes we die before even being dead. And that's when you give up. We die, we kill ourselves before being dead. And that's a crazy, ridiculous place to be. So we have to always look beyond the material things. Don't give a damn about what people say or how people see me, because I think people tend to leave themselves to be governed by how people see them. I don't care about that. At that time, yes, a few times, I would see a few friends here and there, talk to a few friends on the phone, but I shut off from the world. It's my period of solitude to recreate myself. And through that process of recreating myself, hey, I have the risk of you. I'm writing books, and then using those negative things to create positive outcomes. So we don't need to give up when we have setbacks in life. Ask yourself, what's that setback teaching you? What can I do in the future? Where do I see myself? Let's stop thinking small. A lot of the time we think too small. We think shallow. We think we can't go far in this world. We think we can't be where we can be, on the world stage. It's all possible, but we just have to think differently. And I know that with my brand, I'm creating something amazing. I'm going to be on world stage, and I know that is in my vision, and it's all coming there. And I say this to people that in the last 2-3 years, the people who have come into my life are not people I met. They found themselves into my life. And these are very significant people that, oh my goodness, if I had given up, I would not meet them. I can't mention any names, but one of them actually, she's amazing. She's my co-coach on one of my products, on two of my products. Award-winning journalist for Sky News, Fox News, ITV. She's been all over the world. Oh my goodness. And she's on my side. She's brought her friend on board as well, who's done some stuff with Interpol. She's on my side. Oh my goodness. If I had given up, then I've given up on all this already. So that's the thing. Everyone is born to do well, but let's not give up in our minds, because when you give up in your mind, you give up on your reality.
Yeah, and you met me. You forgot to mention me.
And I met you. Oh yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. Are you joking? How could I forget that? And I met you. Amazing. And I'm having this conversation. You give me this opportunity to be here to share my story. And I met you. If I didn't put myself out there with my story, with my content, I would not be here with this beautiful, amazing woman. and we're going to go on to do some amazing things. Yes, I met you. But you see what I mean, though. You see what I mean. If I had given up, Sonia, you would not know me today.
Yeah, that is for sure. That is for
You wouldn't
sure.
know me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you did a bit of research and you saw, oh, this guy, who is he? Risk? Okay, let me talk to him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's true because if I wouldn't have gone out and I wouldn't have looked for a person like you, I would have never found out if I was just doing my regular thing and just living out there, chilling and not striving to look forward to have people on my podcast, something like that. And then similarly with you, if you would have given up back then and you would have been in a
We're not going to
completely
be here
different
today.
situation. Yeah. And I think that's the mystery of the universe and how mysterious it is.
I
Uh,
know, I know.
yeah.
I say to people that it's like magic. I sometimes, so let me give you another experience. So, now, the guy who does all my filming, I met him on the train while I was traveling into London. Uh, so the train was packed. There was only one seat by the window next to him. And I thought, oh gosh, he's such a huge guy. I'm not going to be able to bring out my laptop because I won't feel free. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to just take that seat and bring out my laptop. Cut the long story short, during that conversation, we spoke, we became friends, and he invited me to a networking event where his cousin, runs an organization where he mentors people, and I got to meet his cousin, who was my one of my great coaches or mentors that I worked with 2 years ago, and still today, always guiding me through my business practices. And he actually helped me. He's not a risk practitioner, but he helped me answer a few questions that made my message clearer. So if I hadn't sat next to him, if I hadn't sat next to Ashley that day, I would not have had that opportunity. So Ashley till today shoots all my videos. And then I still have, Martin, who every now and then he will send me a message on my phone. Cheese, read this. Cheese, watch this video. Listen to this book. He's still
Okay.
guiding me till today. We were supposed to meet up before the lockdown. He just bought a plane and he was inviting me to his airfield to come and check his plane out. Can you imagine that? And we started
Mhm.
talking about plane because in my mind somewhere I have a plane in there as well. I don't know when. No. I do have an idea when. It's in there somewhere. And he just bought a plane. He's bought one of the rarest planes in the world, and we're still having that conversation till today. And he's still there. So we have to. Opportunities are around us. We just have to open up our minds to see these opportunities. If we're busy being carried away by some of the distractions of life, social media, partying, and all. I'm not saying these things are bad, but if we let these things define us, watching TV all the time, if we let these things define us, then we're not going to see opportunities. If we hang around the wrong people, we're not going to see opportunities. So we have to create space to let our minds challenge us beyond what we know.
I think that's a fantastic thing to say because we just get so busy with the clutter that we've created ourselves just by making the wrong sort of friends, just by thinking the wrong sort of thoughts, and because our thoughts are very repetitive. So you would know, I mean, you would kind of agree with me on this factor that all of us, I mean, major thoughts of are repetitive. So what we think every day is kind of like repeating itself until unless you like consciously train and then think of
Yes,
new thoughts. So,
yes, yes.
and but people don't understand because it is their own thoughts, so they never have this thing even going around their head that okay, this is not supporting me, maybe I should not think it in this way and I should look for a new perspective. I think that happens a lot with people. So with
Absolutely, absolutely. Because what's happened there is we've created patterns of
yeah.
repetition. Yeah. Think about it this way. Think about a field a field, a grass field, a lawn, actually, not even a grass field, a lawn. And if you continuously walk in a certain path, in a certain pattern over a period of time, You're
Yeah.
going to create a path on
Yeah.
that lawn, and the grasses on that path that you walk on over time are going to be dead. And you just have that path. I see that all the time when I go cycling. You see a grass field, there's a
Yeah.
pattern there because people walk over it continuously. That pattern has been formed. And it's the same thing with our minds. We create patterns in our minds through so many repetitive, unproductive activities. Yeah. And it said that I think it takes 21 days for habits to form. And when these habits are formed as a result of repetition, I mean, most of this 21 days is nothing. We've spent our life being brought up in a certain way, background or whatever, and it's taken, and years of patterns have been formed. So how long is it going to take to unwire these patterns? So it's a lot of work, but you have to want to change this pattern. I had to go through it myself. Being brought up, by an African family, Nigerian family, too traditional and all that stuff. I think I was the black sheep because I always, because I don't think like everybody else. And I fall out with everybody else because my way of thinking is different from everybody else in my family. And I didn't mind that because I wanted to be different.
Okay.
And I understood that to be different, I have to think different. I have to learn beyond what I've been brought up in, because that would affect my personal life and it would affect my business as well. I don't want to be what my dad was because I see beyond that. And I'm grateful for all the upbringing I was brought up in. I am grateful for all those values. It's still guiding me till today. But there are certain things I will not agree with. I'm not a very traditional person. Yes, some of those customs I appreciate why they're there, but for me, they are limiting beliefs that will hold me back as a person and as a businessman. So we have to find out what our own limiting beliefs are, whether they've come from family, friends, or the environment we grow up in, because those limiting beliefs have formed patterns in our minds that's holding us back. So we have to make the effort. And how do we make that effort? We have to learn. First of all, we have to understand, what's my why? Why am I here? What's my purpose? Okay, if it's not clear, let me redefine my purpose and then start working on it. People don't like the idea of working because it sounds like hard work. Because how do you eat when you don't work? How do you eat when you don't work? And you got to work. You have to put in the effort. What does that mean? You have to read. People don't like reading. You see, I love reading. I've got multiple books in my office and and at home. I just need to make the time to read them. Listen to podcasts. People don't like to listen to podcasts. That's the most powerful way. I don't think people need to go to university anymore because the podcast industry is the university of life. You got everything you need in there. And you're doing that right now, Sonia, because we spend time going to school, going to college, going to university, but it never teaches us what we need to do in real life. We learn the principles, the theory, but in reality, no one tells us how to go about the dynamics of life, and especially when things change. So podcasts have been very instrumental in my learning and unwiring those patterns that are ineffective in my life. And I think everyone else, and I thank you for what you're doing, Sonia, because what you're doing, searching for your own version of paradise, I think that's such an amazing, amazing hook. Because everyone, when you think about paradise, it's this place of peace, tranquility, and not just tranquility, but, happiness. But we have to find that for us. What does that mean for me? And through your platform, we're having this conversation, and I hope people can learn from this and see that it is possible. If I can grow from being, from doing so well to losing everything and then rising back up again, and I like to say rising like the phoenix,
Yeah, true.
No, but true. You have to own this, believe these things. I'm not trying to be cocky or anything like that, but I've been there. Yeah, I've been there. I've been ground zero, having nothing.
Yeah.
So, it's all in the mind. If we constantly keep positive visions in our minds, we can achieve greatness. Businesses can achieve greatness. Small business can achieve greatness. And I think as small business, business owners, we have we're not very favored, because when things go wrong, like we're seeing throughout this pandemic, who suffers the most is small businesses. And that's because as the person who you are, you haven't really defined that business in relation to what its purpose, what's the reason for that, and having the right framework to achieve that purpose. And that's why most times when things happen, small businesses tend to go out of business, because the mindset also of that individual who owns the business will affect the business in times of crisis.
Yeah. So, I want to. So you speak so much about being an entrepreneur, and this is what you wanted to. So there are two things that I want to ask. One, how did you find out? So it's very unusual for a kid to know what do they want and what it has to be like, because we are so confirmed by society as to get a job, and that's the security,
Yes.
and that's the usual way of living. And your parents would say study enough to get a job, and go to college because you need a job to survive. So how did you come out of it?
As a child, like I said earlier on, I had the pleasure of making money when I was still very young, and it felt so good.
Okay. How
Yeah,
did
it
you?
felt so good. And if I could make money while I was so young by just selling pens and pencils, that my dad used to get from his company as souvenirs, I thought to
And you used to
myself,
sell those?
yeah, I saw I sold
Okay.
them because it was just there at home. There was so many of them. I'm like, why so many pens and pencils doing nothing? So I took them to school and I sold them in primary school. And there was joy in making money, at
Okay.
such a very young age. So that instilled in me the whole idea of entrepreneurship from a very young age. I carried on from that to create other avenues for making money, even while I was still in secondary school. In secondary school, I used to make, I'm quite creative. I used to design handmade cards for different occasions. Most people do them for Valentine's or their love cards to their girlfriends. I make those things and I make money from them.
Oh, wow.
Then we had a poultry as well at home. So I started breeding pigeons. So from that I grew on to, cut the long story short, I was in university in Nigeria, and then while I was there, every now and then there's all these hiccups called, teacher strikes or lecturer strikes, and we're all at home. And I started the business with a friend of mine to source for work to source for business, to source for consultancy work. And I love the independence of making money or deciding how I make money. So the idea of really being an employee never sat well with me. I never saw myself as an employee, never did. Even though I held 2 permanent jobs, but I didn't last. And I only did that because the consultancy work wasn't coming.
Okay. Because I
Yeah.
was just about to ask you if you've actually been an employee, and did you
Yes, I
even
have
work for
been. Yes, I
someone?
have been. I didn't last long, 6 months. The last one I did was 6 months, and that's because the consultancy work wasn't coming. So I thought, you know what? Let me just take something to get some money. And I got that. I was in prison. I felt like I was in prison. Seriously, I couldn't wait to get out. And while I was there, yes, I was delivering, but you know, it was still in my mind that I needed to get going. The business wasn't giving me. It was a software company. They weren't giving me, the angle I needed to learn. Yes, I learned from there, but I felt restricted, to grow. And one of the reasons why I chose to be a consultant was to have the opportunity to go from one company to the other for the duration of time that I'm there and learn business. And that's what I did. While I was at university here, I was working already. I was in a job where most university graduates, would aim to be at. I was working for a bank at that point in time. NatWest Bank, in their operations center. Most graduates would kill to be in that job, but I had that while I was still in my first year.
Yeah.
And that was because before that, I had been preparing myself, to take that route of work until I established my business. So everyone can be entrepreneurs, and you can still be in a permanent employment and have skills. Like, I know people so actually one of my clients right now, she's in a job, and she's trying to take a fashion brand and create something amazing from it. So we all have gifts. And I heard someone, I can't remember who said that. I think it was a post, and it says, a salary is what they pay you to give up on your dreams. So when you are getting paid a salary, and I saw that with my dad, he was, although he was a director and all he did, he's not a businessman, and he was getting paid a salary, and by the time he retired, boom, nothing else. I cannot be that person. I have to create my own wealth. I love the joy of working and creating. From my mind, I'm a creator. From my mind, and that has to be continuous. And being in an employed job is restricting for me. It's fine for some people because they want to be controlled that way. That's fine, but it's not for me. Well, I think we all have the potential to be bold and be independent and not be that. For many people, it's a safety net to be employed. But today, the economy is such that even a permanent employee job is not safe anymore.
Yeah.
So why be there and not have something on the side that you can, monetize yourself? Right. And that's the way I see it.
Okay. Can you talk to me about so when you were working and you left and then you were thinking about doing something on your own, what did the day one felt like? I think that's the difficult part.
I don't think I had a day one because it's always been there. So while working, I'm creating.
Okay.
Yeah, so I never had a day one. So while I was consulting for clients, I was building my business. And one of the first things that I did was consulting, other consulting, jobs. Yes, those consulting jobs were pretty much like a 9 to 5, just one client at a time. It's what you call a fixed term project where you get paid by the hour or by the day. And then it's difficult to have two clients at the same time, but I did that. I remember I got a job, a project with a company in Malaysia in 2015, and I was in a project for an investment bank then. It was such a tight, schedule to do that because I was called out to Malaysia to come out and train a couple of, executive directors in risk, run a risk seminar. And I had to give up my day job here. I didn't quit the contract. What I did was I took some time out, and I could forgo 3 days of earnings for that experience. I mean, that experience, the money I forgo to go to Malaysia, all expenses paid, fees paid, chauffeur driven, I mean, the contacts I made, the money I gave up with my consulting job would not equal to what I have in value today, from that experience. So there was never really a day one for me per se. You could say day one, maybe when I had my own office and all that stuff, but not really because I was already creating all that, building my network, while doing all these. I didn't see myself as a typical consultant whereby I just sat there. I'm making contacts with clients, building up on what I have already, having networking events, training on the weekends. I teach people, I train on the weekends. I have call-ins at, schools, universities to come and lecture people. So there was never really a day one for me. All I kept doing was growing, building up on what I have, growing, until I have, a team of my own and a space of my own.
Is it because also because of the fact that you always had this thing in your head, and because you always had that image in your head and you always have that notion, so it was never like, day one factor for you because in your mind you were already growing somewhere. In your mind you already had that
Absolutely. So that was there for me. That was day one for me, was probably that moment when I was a kid. That was probably my day one. Yeah. For most people, day one for them is when they start their startup project or their startup business. For most people like that, is their day one. But for me, day one, I believe day one should always start in the mind, not in the physical presence.
Okay.
and that's where I'm different.
So talk to me about the fact that, okay, now that I'm listening to you, people must be getting inspired. So what do they start off with? What is it like their day one should look like? Because whatever that I've done, okay, that, I acknowledge my present reality, and people also must acknowledge their present reality. But what is like the starting stage? What do you think that step one has to look like?
Yes, step one always has to come back to why. Okay, let's say, okay, let me go a step before step one. Let's say step zero. What is it you have that you can give to the world? What's your
Okay.
skill? What's your passion? I think we have to start with that. And through that idea, you know, test that idea. Who is doing that idea out there? What can you do better? Who will buy from you? Who will be your customers? Do that scenario play in your mind. I always say it all starts in the mind.
Yeah.
Dreams, that become reality starts in the mind. So identify what areas you can serve people, and think about it as serving people, solving people's problems. What is Amazon doing right now that they're not doing so well? That could
Mm.
be your thing.
Yeah.
It could be on a smaller scale, but start with that and then grow it. And then maybe Amazon will say, you know what, we're not doing that so well. You're doing it better than we are. I'm going to buy you out for £1 million or $1 million or whatever. Start with that. Start with what can you do to serve people, and then that becomes your product. It becomes your service, and then you define that. Define your why. Your why is beyond you. Your purpose is beyond you. It's how you impact the world, how you impact people. So I call this your global risk footprint. Yeah. Remember, I said earlier that risk is a person or an entity with a purpose. We all impact ourselves, we impact our families, we impact our community, and we definitely impact the world by what we give out. Yeah. So just like we had this thing called the carbon footprint in terms of global warming, we have the global risk footprint as well. It's something I've developed. How do you impact the world, negatively or positively? And I believe most people want to do good for the world. So that's what I call being ethical through what we do personally and through our businesses.
Okay.
So start with that, clarify that purpose, and then you have to understand how to get there
Yeah.
and define that roadmap. What's that going to be? How do you get there? What do you want to achieve in year one? What do you want to achieve in year two? What do you want to achieve in year three? That gets you closer to your vision. So it's a process that you have to go through. And for everything on this planet, there is a process for how to go about it. Don't just think you can just pick up something and run with it. No. People who are in the race, Usain Bolt is not going to go off track and cut across the field to get to the finish line. No, you just follow the process, run in a straight line, 100 meters race. And that's, find the process and no shortcuts. People like to take shortcuts in life and want to achieve things quicker. And when you go by shortcuts, you stand the chance of fizzling out when things go wrong, and that's even worse than having it in the first place. So follow the process. There's a process. Find the process that works for you, because not all processes or strategies will be applicable or work for you. Find the one that works for you, test them out, and then implement. And just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of what people are going to say. Oh, they will tell you it doesn't work. What you trying to be? You're trying to be, someone you're not. Come on, yes, I want to be someone I'm not. Why should I be here and not be somebody better? So we can grow. We can all grow.
But I think what's happening nowadays with this social media is that you are not being yourself when you are by yourself as well. So I'm always presenting myself via filters, via bunny,
I,
all these
I hate
bunny.
I hate filters. I can't stand them. I can't
So
stand those things, you know.
so I think because it has inflicted us in such a way that you cannot stand yourself when you are without a filter. So I think
Yeah,
to be themselves has become such a big task now, because you don't know who you are anymore. You do not like what you see. You do not encourage the kind of thoughts that you have. And most of the time when you have like a brilliant idea, I would also like to add this fact that whenever you have like a brilliant idea, that could be like $1 million idea, I would say, but
yes,
you like just shut it off, just kill it, because it came from you. So it's always like that. So whenever I have an amazing idea, if I have this habit of self sabotaging, then what I'm going to do, oh, it came from me, what a stupid thing to think about. And a lot of people have this habit that they think that they are not capable of building up
yes,
things. So that also kills a lot of potential that people can bring into. Maybe it could be just one small thing, one small change that anybody can bring, but believing and trusting in that idea and then doing the work is a lot of work for people, and nobody would want
yes.
to do that.
But you see, the thing is, what people don't realize is not doing the work to achieve greatness is also it's also doing the work not to achieve greatness.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. That's deep. Yeah.
yeah. So if we're spending time trying to make ourselves look better with filters and all that, we're making someone else greater than us. And who is that? Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're using what they've created because they're trying to pander to, our desires to look better. Why should I focus on how good I look when I can't even produce anything or make money? Is looking good going to make me money? Well, maybe for some people who are models, yes, you can make that money. If you're a supermodel or something. But
Yeah.
spending time, self-sabotaging, as you put it, I mean, it's sad. It is sad. It is really sad.
I
I can't
I
even imagine myself. And sometimes I think I wish I could do everything or implement every idea I think about. I wish I could. And sometimes I see people who got great potential in them that they don't see in themselves. And I ask the question, why? Can't you see that you can be why are you not seeing what I'm seeing?
Cheese, can I add something about it? Can I tell you
Yeah.
what I
Tell
think
me.
about it?
Tell me.
So what happens is, because we've been there. So I've been that person also, and now I'm this person also. But what happens here is, now that we have sort of clear idea of what we want to do, how do we have to do it, and we are willing to put the work. But when you don't have an idea, so you will put a lot of effort into just surviving, just being there, you
Yeah.
know and because we have such a clear idea now, I always look back and I think, oh my god, if I would have only started 6 months back, if only I would have started 2 years, 3 years back, I would have been in that place. But you have to be in that zone to be that person.
Hmm.
So the person that I was that day cannot think of all of these things, and do not have the courage also, and do not have the that mental zone also. So I think everything takes its time, but it is what do you want to see, like what is
Hmm.
going inside your head and what do you want to experience is a big factor. So if you are influenced by a lot of because of your friends, or maybe the kind of conditioning from your parents, and maybe
Hmm.
the kind of relationship that you're in with someone, it is highly possible that you might never come out of it, never come out of that zone.
It
Even
is,
if it's
yes.
painful, you're going to stick there, you're going to sit there, and you're going to blame everything which is possible and which is around you to be in that situation.
Hmm.
And it is sad for us to see something like that, but I wish we could only help these people and tell them that
I
you have a big
know, I know,
potential.
I know. And I hope that this conversation what we're having, is going to help people see that they can aspire to be better people. Because, I mean, look at you, we are different backgrounds, but in mind, we are twins.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, we're twins. You know, look at that. You know, and people don't understand the power of the mind. And in very simple terms, and I've mentioned this earlier, in very simple terms, how you feel and think upstairs will affect your whole being, your whole self. You know, so when we have these self-sabotaging thoughts, what do we do? Do we just, you know, give up at that? But then we're having self-sabotaging thoughts and we are watching other people on social media who are doing well. And who know, I don't know what goes through the mind of people who watch people who are doing better on social media and they're doubting themselves that they can't do that. I don't know what, you know, because I've never been that person to self-sabotage myself. I've always felt that given the right opportunities or finding the right opportunities, I can excel. You know, I can grow, I can be better. I'm always that person. And I rub this off on everybody around me. And if you're
Okay.
not willing to be better, I'm going to let you go. I'll get you
Definitely.
out of my, because I don't want you to hold me back. You know, whether
Yeah.
it's friends or family, and that's the truth. And most people you mentioned earlier, you know, allow family and friends to hold them back. There's more loyalty to their friends and family than to themselves, success. And they don't think that, oh, by being better, I can help my friend or family to be better.
Yes, I would 200% agree with this, that because I will develop right now, I will put in the work, I will avoid you for certain time, because when I develop, when I grow, when I have the certain mind, when
Absolutely.
I have the certain resources, I'm going to come back and help you. And I'm going to make you grow as well, but I have to take that time off, and people don't understand that.
Absolutely. Take that time off. I love the way you put it. Yes.
Yeah, so it's always, I think all the great leaders, speakers, and great minds always talk about, being with yourself, because I think how always say is the risk. You have to take that risk on yourself. You have to take that leap of faith for yourself in that present moment. I don't know where will I go, but I won't discover myself until unless I put some faith in me and I say, I'm gonna do okay. I'm gonna survive this. I'm gonna be okay if I am by
Absolutely.
myself. But I feel
Absolutely.
a lot of people are so scared of being alone and just by be themselves, and you leave them for 1 hour and they will go crazy because they cannot bear their thoughts. They cannot survive with their own identity. I think
Let
that's
go. You don't need them around you because they're going to hold you back. And you're going to be sad for the rest of your life. You know, I mean, there's nothing as terrible. I'd rather be dead than be sad for the rest of my life. Seriously, because sadness, those negative feelings, oh my goodness, it's horrible. It's a horrible disease, for lack of a better way to put it. It's a horrible disease to just be negative, sad all the time, angry all the time because I'm not doing this or I'm not doing that or somebody's doing better than me. I can't find myself in that space. And, it's not a space to create. And I don't know what your belief is, but I believe, obviously we have a creator who's made us, and we as human beings made by God, the creator, he's made us in his image. So that makes us mini creators. So we are creators as well. And to create, you need, I was going to say you need a positive environment, but you need a negative environment as well to create, because sometimes we don't appreciate the good when it's always good. It takes something bad to appreciate the good to
yeah.
happen. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I
But then
understand.
we have to have the power to not allow the negative, the bad, to stop us from creating what it is that we are creating. And we can create multiple things. You've created this podcast show. I know you're going to create multiple things and products and all that stuff. I'm creating what I'm creating through risk and all that. I've got other creative talents in my mind, things that I've brought out that I'm also working on as well. We are creators, and we need to be able to use our environment to fuel us to create and produce and put out greatness that can make a positive impact in the lives of people, and the lives of people that we want to help, people that in the lives of people in the world. So if I'm empowering people through risk, who would have thought that risk is something that you can say is empowering and helping people achieve their purpose? Well, I'm saying it now because I'm doing it for people. I'm doing it for my clients I'm working for, because they are seeing risk a different way. They're not thinking bad, 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 negative, negative, negative. They're seeing opportunities. They are seeing rewards. Yeah. You got the podcast, Searching Paradise. You're helping people to find their own version of paradise. What does that mean for them? Happiness, peace, creating something for themselves, getting rid of negative, doubt. You've just had this wonderful seminar that you've shared, feedback with. I mean, those feedback were amazing, Sonia.
Yeah.
So if you didn't put this out there, you're not going to be, you don't know what these people are thinking when they got home and they're seeing the possibilities that's open before them.
And I think we need more people like us, so that
Absolutely.
even when we come from adversity and whatever happened to you and whatever happened to me, even if we were like put down, and then we had our own years of struggle, and we still do have a lot of years ahead of us, to struggle and to grow from there, and experience a lot
Absolutely.
of experience. And I wouldn't call it pain, but it's just necessary, whatever,
It's
even if
necessary pain. No, it is pain. It is pain, but
yeah.
it's necessary. You've
Okay.
been going to the gym. You've been going to the gym. You're feeling the pain in your. You're
Oh, I
feeling.
have. Yes, but then I know it is necessary, because I
Yes.
know I wouldn't develop if I do everything the same way that
Exactly.
I've always done. I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna like one day get frustrated over the fact that I'm not developing and I'm not changing. And I think that will make me more miserable. And that can
Absolutely.
to a lot of then I'm gonna throw tantrums on people, I'm gonna behave bad, and there are so many things that will start happening with me. So instead, I can take care of one factor which can lead to a lot of good things around me. So because I'm happy with myself, so I'm gonna be happy around other people. If I'm happy around other people, then I have good thoughts, and then everything, the whole perspective of it
Let me add
changes.
one more thing. Let me add one more thing. And when you are happy, you are healthier. I'm
Yeah,
not a doctor, but I know that by being positive
that
and
is
happier, it make your health is better. Because a lot of I'm no doctor, and I have doctor friends and medical friends and all that stuff. We have debates. Um, yeah, we had one just a few days ago. But your health, your mindset influences your health. A lot of the diseases we have today is associated with feeling negative,
oh yeah.
the result of that self-sabotaging, mindset, feeling sad, feeling angry. All those things have a health impact over a period of time. So certainly the opposite should be the choice, and that's to be positive in the way we think, and that way we can be happier and healthier.
So talk to me about, you have two daughters, two beautiful daughters.
Yes.
You absolutely love them, and
I
you
yes,
spend so
absolutely.
much time
Yes.
with them.
So my first daughter, she's sorry, finish your question.
Yeah, sure, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Tell them.
Yeah. Yeah. So my first daughter, Chilatam, she's 10, and Chimalum, she's 8. They are amazing. And you know, I learn a lot from them as well. Coming from an African background and the way we were raised, I didn't have the relationship I have with my daughters with my parents. It was more of a heavy-handed approach. You are the child, I'm the mother, I'm the father. Behave yourself, be obedient. Don't talk to me when I'm not talking to you. I wasn't going to be that kind of parent.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've built a very strong relationship with my daughters because I want them to see me as a role model of a man. So when they decide to eventually go into relationships and have their own families, they know what standards to
Yeah.
aim for. Yeah. And the beauty about, me is the fact that I understand a little bit about the dynamics of being a woman. I'm not saying I'm not a woman, so I don't understand everything, but I know a little bit. I know a little bit. So I can teach them little what I know. I'm sure their mother does as well. I can teach them that. And it's for them to see that they have the ability to be what they choose to be, and they can be great as well. And coming from an African background, the way women are viewed, they're looked down upon, your kitchen material, you can't do this, you can't do that, and sadly, a lot of this comes from women as well. Yeah. That self-sabotaging um, belief. They're amazing girls, 10 and 8. And like I was saying, I'm raising them in such a way that they see that they can be great. They can choose to be who they want to be. I don't want them to fall into that trap of the status quo of what a woman should be or what you should do. I want them to have a dynamic, broad way of seeing life. You know, like we mentioned earlier, the whole social media, generation, that dependency on, on those things. We always have conversations. We talk. One of the things I've done at home, although being in different homes, being single parent and their mom, they're with their mom sometimes, they're with me sometimes. One of the things I've done at home is to create an environment where we can be creative in our minds. I got rid of my TV 3 years ago. When I first got rid of the TV, it was a little bit, not for me, it was a little bit of a period of adjustment for them. And what that has done is that it's created amazing moments, or we've created amazing moments for ourselves at home. We're talking more, we're communicating more. When we have dinners, at home, dinner time is the most amazing time ever because I get to hear all sorts of things, silly things as well. So they tell me about school, they tell me about who's done this, who's done that. It's a very homely, loving environment. And that's what I want for them, to have that foundation. And even though they're not with me all the time, I'm very present because every single day we talk, every single day on the phone. I mean, as we were speaking, I know my phone is buzzed, and it's probably her around the time that she sent me that message telling me she's back from school. So we do that. They tell me they're back from school, and then we chat, and then we speak in the evening. So that's the kind of relationship I've created. I want their experience of being a child to be different. I want it to be love. Let it just be love, 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 and giving them that support, that talking. I'm not heavy-handed when it comes to disciplining, but yes, I do discipline. Sometimes you got to be firm when they've gone wrong and explain why. So it's getting them to understand that there are also consequences for certain actions as well. So I believe that my daughters, both the 8-year-old and the 10-year-old, are mentally more advanced than the children in their class, when it comes to reasoning. And I love that. When we go out and we meet people, the kind of conversations they get in, they get into when they're talking to people, I'm amazed. I'm amazed that they are confident young women. And that's what I want it to be, because it's going to help them create what they want to create. During the lockdown, I got them to start writing books. They started writing their own books as well. So my 8-year-old is writing, my 10-year-old is writing, although the 10-year-old seemed to have given up on writing because she doesn't want to be, she doesn't want to publish her book. But my 8-year-old, she's still writing her book, collecting her stories. But that's amazing because they've challenged themselves beyond people in their class. Yeah, so, and I love that about them. I'm so proud of them and love them very much. And I hope that they continue down this line. And that's my gift to them. My gift to them is to be a great parent that will support them and help them grow to be who they want to be.
Yeah, you can't ask more. But I want to ask you something.
Sure.
Will you adopt me? You seem to be doing such a good job at parenting. I want to be there.
Okay, let's get the adoption papers. We'll get the adoption
Yeah,
papers written up.
adopting a
Yes, I'll
28-year-old
adopt
old.
you. You know what I'm doing. So you know what I'm doing. So my 10-year-old daughter, she said she's getting into design, creative work, and all that stuff. So she's got all these editing apps, video editing app, picture editing app, and she's doing so great. I actually asked her to, take some of my photos and see what she can come up with and create a post for me. And she's doing so. It needs a bit of polishing. So when she gets better, she's going to do all my posts for me, you know. So that way I don't have to pay anyone. So when I adopt you, I'm going to get you to take care of my podcast.
Because I'm independent, I'm earning, and I'm doing
Exactly. You're
pretty well.
independent. Yeah. So that will work in my favor as well. That's amazing.
So you will have three daughters and
I'll
like
have three
all
daughters.
set.
Then I can leave you with them and go out.
But
Uh,
yeah, because I think it's very important to have like a very nurturing childhood, especially till the age of 7. At least you need to be very careful as to how you speak to them, how you treat them. You have to give them a lot of confidence. You have to stop treating them like kids and actually give them the freedom of thinking that you exist,
yes.
you matter. I
Very,
think that is
very
very important.
true.
And
Yeah, very true.
but
That
I
you know
think
what you said
parents, since
about
mostly they are very busy.
yes.
Yes, go ahead, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you were gonna say you said something about a child at the age of 7. Now now there's a religious group under the Catholic Church called the Jesuits. Yeah, and they say something. Give me a child up until the age when they're 7, and I will tell you what they will be in future. So that period
Yeah,
is
yeah,
such a
yeah.
critical time when your future is, I won't say defined, but you are molded into a certain way. And most times you turn out how you have been molded in those first few years of your growing up. So those periods are
Yeah.
very important in a child's life between the ages of 1 and the ages of 7, because by the time they're 7, they're formed already. Yeah. So I'm,
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Because why I particularly
Go.
said yeah,
Yeah. No.
why I
Go ahead. Go
particularly
ahead.
said 7 is because yeah, why I particularly said 7 is because I was just listening to one of the neuroscientists who was talking. I don't
Hmm.
remember, maybe it was Dr. Deepak Chopra, or maybe it was Dr. Joy Dispenza, but one of them. So whenever I want to learn something and like a certain topic, so I always go up to like science, like what does the doctor say and what is
Yes.
neuroplasticity and neuroscience and everything, because that will give you a lot of insights to understand the basic laws of nature. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
he was saying that, by the age of 7, so till 7, these kids, their subconscious brain is still developing. So they are always in that zone. They are always in beta zone. I think that's what they were saying. Yeah, beta zone. It has to be. So your mind frequencies are in that. So whatever you give them, they like just take it and
Absorb it.
store it. So that's the sort of person that they become. So it is very important till 7 you treat them, in a certain way, and then you encourage them to think more thoughts and be more creative. And then after that, maybe what you can start doing is like start telling them what do you think about it, and then develop them in that sort of way. Then you can start giving them some kind of responsibilities and something to think about, like in a way to function. So that is very
Absolutely.
important. And I don't think so people understand parenthood and they just like pop out a kid and just be like, yes, on with it.
You're so right. A lot of parents, don't understand parenthood, and I wish they knew these things, because if they knew these things, though, if they know these things, they probably would not have that child. And sadly, a lot of parents, and I think particularly mothers, um, use their child as um, pacifiers for their own emotions, and I think that's
Emotional
wrong,
support, mostly
because
mostly like a support, I would say.
emotional support,
Yeah.
yes, 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 and that's depriving a child of their own life when you use your child as an emotional crutch or emotional support or comfort and all that. And one way that I'm still very traditional is when it comes to family values. You know, Although I'm a single parent, I'm not a fan of single parenthood. I am where I am by, the consequence of my actions and how and who I chose to get married to. But a family needs to be together to raise their child. So right now, there's this glorification of single parenthood, especially single motherhood is being glorified. Nobody really thinks about the importance of a father's role in the child's life. You see a child most times is the mother all the time, the mother all the time. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the mothers are perfect or not perfect, or nobody's perfect anyway. But when a child is made to see that your father is not important in your life, but I'm the more important one, how do you think that's going to impact that child's life? Yeah, and I think all those things are needs to be considered before having a child. Now, there is something I wrote in one of my posts a few months ago, and I said in that post that the worst gift you can give to a child that is unborn is the parent you choose to have that child with. Yeah, it can be the best gift that you give to the child as well. But the parent you choose to have a child with can be the worst or the best gift you give to that child. No questions about that.
Yeah, that is true.
I'll do a mic
And
drop on that one.
and thank you so much, guys, for tuning into this podcast. I think I think we have the moment here. So what do you think? So I would want to wrap up, this
Sure, sure,
podcast, though
sure.
I don't want to stop talking to you.
No, no, no.
But
I love talking to you. I can carry on. I mean, this is my day's work today. This podcast is my day's work today, and I'm so, so, so enjoying this. And I hope millions of people get to listen to this podcast. I want millions of people to hear this, especially millions of people from our background, from the African American background, the African background, the Asian background. I want people who are, who are less privileged to listen to this podcast and see the possibilities of what they can become through what we're doing.
yeah, I would say that. You know what, Cheese? I would say it's not less privileged, but it is that we are not using the advantages that we have to its maximum. I would say that everybody has a phone
Okay.
these days. Okay, everybody
Yeah.
has phone, everybody has internet. At least up
Absolutely.
in India,
Absolutely.
everybody has that. And the way that you use it is what defines you. So you can
What
use it
defines
to
you?
keep
Absolutely.
scrolling, on
Hmm.
TikTok, on Instagram, and in Facebook, or maybe you can use it to read books. I study a
Yes.
lot from YouTube. That's all. I don't open Netflix. I though I have all of those subscriptions, but I don't use it. So we when I sit with a plate, with food, since I live alone, everything the only thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to open YouTube and I'm going to search for one of the neuroscientists who's going to like talk to me for like another 30
Who's your
minutes,
favorite?
and I'm absorbing that knowledge.
Hmm.
Sorry. My
Who's your
favorite?
favorite?
Oh, okay. So I listen to a lot. I love Dr. Joey Dispenza,
Hmm.
and
I like
I
him as
listen to
well.
Dr. Huberman as well. Doctor,
Bruce Lipton.
yeah, and then you have sorry, I don't know. I don't think so. I've
Yeah,
heard of
so Bruce
him.
Lipton is another good one as well. He talks about, how the mind works and the
Oh,
body and all that and how it affects our health. He's a great one that I listen to.
I can. I'll go and listen to him because I'm always looking for new people to listen to,
Yes.
and
He wrote a book called The
somebody who knows.
Biology of Belief, which is a great book.
Wow.
Yes. Joe Dispenza, yes. I like Joe Dispenza. I've read his book. What's this book called again?
Placebo?
Evolve Your Brain.
Oh, evolving your brain. Okay. And I
Evolving Your
read
Brain. Yeah, which is a great one.
placebo, the one on placebo
The
effect.
placebo effect,
Your
yes.
mind is a placebo, something like that. But I think it's
Yes.
amazing. So even if you
I haven't
read
read that
the
one.
first two chapters, you will get the whole idea of it.
Okay.
And he explains in such detail. And I like listening to him when I see him in videos because he has a very calming effect and the way he
Hmm.
talks, and he makes it funny as well. And every morning I listen. I mean, the morning. Stop. Every morning when I get up.
Yeah.
Every morning
Yeah.
when I get up, so I have this video downloaded. Every morning I listen to him. He talks about emotions, mind, thoughts,
Hmm.
neurology, and everything, and it's just recorded. So I listen
That's
to it
amazing.
every day. I know word by word, but I just like listening to it because it just keeps reminding me of who am I as a person and what can I do,
Hmm.
and how do people behave. So I think that really helps me.
That's great. That's great. So those things, I think it's great to have those what I say, mental affirmations that helps you stay focused. I do that a lot by listening to podcasts. But one thing I do, which is more practical to me, is I have several remind. I use my phone a lot, and my phone is pretty much my notebook, and I write, on my phone, and I set reminders at specific times of the day with specific quotes or specific things I have captured, just to embed certain thoughts in my mind, because the thoughts I embed in my mind are associated with my vision. So um, in the morning I have two that usually pop up. Uh, During the course of the day, I have several that will pop up, and I have my 4 o'clock one, which says step away from my desk, time to just create calmness and just meditate, for 7 minutes. I do that. At night times, I have several ones as well that remind me to do. I wish I can stay on top of all of them, but I just stick to my key ones. And I believe these are part of the things I've created to, like I mentioned earlier on, to eliminate some of those patterns that were associated to my upbringing as a child. So you have to fill that space with something positive, something productive. If that space is not filled up with something productive, then something unproductive is going to get in there, and we don't want that. And it's really important that we make this, we practice this on a regular basis. I don't know about you, what your religion is, but I'm a Jehovah's Witness, and prayer is important. Prayer is important. So having times to pray, just step back. It's also a form of meditation as well. Although I'm talking to God, but times like that, when you close your eyes and you start to talk to this being, what does it do? You're trying to communicate. You're trying to, you know, you're getting out of your own head space to talk to someone who you can see. It's a very strong form of communication, because if we have a vision that we haven't realized and it's in our mind, how do you bring that to reality, that you can have that vision and hold it in your hand? Is by focusing on that vision and doing the work to achieve it. Um, I um, I read this book called The Secret. I don't know if you've read it.
Yeah, yeah.
The
I
Secret.
think
Yeah,
that was the first introduction in my
yeah.
life
It
where
was the
I
same
came
for
to
me. It
know
was,
about, yeah.
yes, it was
So,
the same for me as well. And it's simple. It says, if you see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hands.
yes,
Yeah,
that is true. Yeah.
and it's just as simple as that. It's absolutely as simple as
I
that.
I think that's the basic. I think that's just basic. If somebody doesn't have like a lot of knowledge, but if you have the faith that if you have something in your head, you can always achieve it. If you understand just that and put some faith in it, I think you can do it. But there's a bigger science behind it. So, so especially I do
I
have
love
this
that word
course where I
faith.
actually teach you. Yeah.
Yeah, you
So
said sorry to cut you
it's
short
just
there,
the
but that word
faith
faith
that
is
you
such
have.
a powerful thing. Faith is such a powerful thing. And we need to have faith in ourselves before we can have faith in something else. So that's such a powerful thing. I just thought I'll highlight that again.
Yeah, yeah. Can I tell you? I mean, I would just like to, like, share this little story of
Please,
mine.
please
I mean,
tell
it's
me.
a very personal thing, and
Sure.
it's related to faith. So when I was very young, say I was in fourth grade, okay, third or fourth grade I was in, and so what used to happen was I didn't have a very good connection with my parents, and so I used to live away from them, and that's when they like brought me back with them, and I was not very comfortable with these people because somehow I didn't resonate, and I always had this parenting notion that a parent should talk to their child like this. I don't know where did I learn from. I don't know how did it happen, because even when wherever that I was living, I never found these kind of parents, but I always knew. I don't know, somehow I just knew what it was like to be a nice parent. Okay. So what happened was this part kept, like growing, that I don't like where I am right now, but I know it'll be better. So I just knew it'll be better. I just knew it'll be better. So I was third, fourth, fifth, sixth, I passed out from like school, and then, I was on my own, and I always knew over the years. So it is almost 10, 12 years that I lived with them, and like survived all of these things. But I always had this notion, the faith. So I am a very deep believer in the word faith, because
Mm-hmm.
it's just this small, it's a very, very like small voice in your head that always tells you it's going to be fine, it's going to be fine. And no matter what I go through, I always have this thing like in a guardian angel sort of thing with me. So even
Yes.
when I used to cry at night, I used to have this imaginary lady with me, and she will tell me it's going to be fine, it's going to be fine, it's just few more years. And imagine, I used to say few more years. It's
Mm,
not like 1 day or 2 day,
that's
I would say
amazing.
it's few more years.
Mm,
And I think that sort of helped me for a long period of time. And when I
mm-hmm.
came out of all of these things, and I started living alone, and I knew I'm going to make the best out of it. And ever since, I've never looked back. People always look at me and they'll be like, how are you so confident? How do you speak so freely? How are you like this? And I'm like, I just know this is who I am. I've always waited all of my life to be this person. And you think I'm going to mess this up? I won't mess this up. I know what I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
like you are in that zone you've always been waiting for. Imagine standing there and just feeling the power that you have.
Mm-hmm.
So that's faith for me. I mean, that's the faith that I have for myself. So even when I am in like a bad space, I know it's just temporary. It's going to be fine, because
Gonna be
ultimately,
fine.
if I have survived so many things, then I'm going to do
Yes.
this as well. So that's the whole point for me. And uh, this is what this is what I want to tell people, that it's never too late in
It's
your
never
life.
too late. Absolutely. It's never too late. Sonia, I know you were going to be an amazing, great woman. Yeah. I'll tell you something. People I connect with instantly, like this, like you and I connect on the first day we spoke, we have an open spirit. Yeah. People that I take my time to know, because they are not coming out clear. There's some kind of cloud. You haven't got any cloud over you. And that's why instantly, we connected the way we connected. You saw me on Facebook, you reached out to me, we spoke. On that first day, we probably spoke for over an hour already. We kind of shared our whole our whole life, experience already. That doesn't happen all the time.
I
And
think within
people who
5 minutes we were giggling and we were laughing about
yes,
I'm
exactly.
saying
Exactly. And that's such a very, very positive thing, a positive force that can achieve a whole lot of greatness. And don't let that change for any reason. Ups or down. I mean, look at me. I've been through the ups and the down. I've been through so many, setbacks and all that stuff. But here I am. My spirit is still there. It's still fiery. It's still passionate. That is what is going to drive you to success. And that's what people see. And they are drawn to you because of feeding off on your positive energy to make themselves better. I mean, think about it. If you've got such positive vibe and people are feeding up that, and you keep adding to it and you keep maintaining that positivity, and how much impact would you have on people? It's going to be so much. Even through your platform, it's coming through as well on the podcast. You are yourself. You're not trying to be somebody else that you're not. And that's one thing that is amazing about people like us and all that stuff. I don't believe in zodiac signs and all that stuff, but we are certainly a kindred spirit, and that will not change for nothing, So we are going to make an impact on the world. I know you're going to be great. We are going to be great, and we're going to impact people's lives positively, and people are going to feed off our energy, and they'll be telling us stories. I'm sure you're going to be getting feedback, in your email, people saying to you, Sonia, that podcast changed my life. Oh my goodness, that's worth more than $1 million to change someone's life, and it's such a rewarding thing to have. It's such a rewarding thing to have. So keep doing what you're doing. I love what you're doing. It's amazing. It's going to get better. It's going to grow. And I'm going to be there with you 5-10 years going forward. In my old age, in walking stick or whatever, I'm not going to be in a wheelchair. I would probably use a walking. No, I'm not going to use a walking stick. I'm going to be solid, on my legs. So yeah. So no, this is for the long term. It's for the long term.
Soon. I'm sure
it's for the long term. It's for the long term. It's such a great. It's such a great opportunity you have. Made in you. And for everyone listening, just stay close to this woman. She's amazing. Just subscribe to this podcast channel. It should be the only podcast channel you listen to, because it just shows you how you can be great. You can decide on doing something and running with it, and the right things will come. And you see, that's the thing, when we put our ideas out there, everything starts to flow in that direction. The people that will help you, materialize that idea, the resources will come, the money will come, the people will come, whatever it is will come, the platforms will come, the news channels will come, the interviews will come. Somebody will come and say, I want to buy your platform, I want to partner with you. When you put your ideas out there. But if people don't put their ideas out there and it stays in the mind, nothing will come. Absolutely nothing. So I challenge everyone listening to this podcast, put your ideas out there, do the work to move these ideas forward in every little way. You don't need to do grand, you don't need to do so much. Just put it out there. We have all this free. We have phones. Social media is free. It's not paid for. Can you imagine if we have to pay for Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff? And you have to
There'll be
pay
like 5 people.
exactly, and you have to pay 10 £10 to put a post out there. Are you joking? No one is going to use it, but it's free. There's so many free things you can do to put your ideas forward. Anybody out there listening? Yeah, and
You know what they
everything will
say?
just come.
So about social media, they say that if you are getting it for free, probably you're the product. That's what they say.
Well, true, but you can make
Yeah.
the products your product by using
I
it
mean, of
right.
course, you can use it to your benefit since you're
Use it
putting
to your
your time
benefit.
and effort.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
that's true.
it's a two-way street. Social media is getting what they want from you. You get what you want from social media. Use it
Yeah,
well. Don't let them
yeah.
use you, because when you're the product is when they're using you and tying you to it. I watched this documentary. I love watching documentaries because I learn so much from them. I'm not so much into movies and all that stuff, so documentaries are my thing. And it's a documentary on social media. I can't remember what it's called. It's on Netflix actually. It's social media. It's to do with
The
social media
social
basically.
dilemma.
Is it social dilemma? No, it's not.
The
So
social
basically what it
dilemma.
is yeah, basically what it
It's
is
it
from the
is social dilemma.
is it that's the one where
Yeah.
from when you start using social media from a young age, and it builds a profile
Yeah.
of you. So you have a social profile of you, and they pretty much know
Yeah.
your every step. Is it social dilemma?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so
Yeah.
it's that one. Yeah.
It is.
So that's where you become
Yeah.
the
So
product.
you have this boy. Yeah. So you
Yes.
have this boy and they push all of your buttons and you respond in a way, and it just made me feel so small that we are just so small to them, all of these people, and I was like,
Hmm.
okay, that's bad.
Yes, 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 it is. It is. Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. I think the best way to use social media is just to be, open when you want to use it and shut off all the notifications that
Yes.
actually shut off all the notification. I don't get notification on my phone. So
Yes.
I have to open an app. I have to go
And
see it is
say,
when it will throw me. So
yeah,
otherwise, I do not get anything bing, bing, bing. I do not get that on my phone. Only on
yes.
WhatsApp is what I
That's
have
such a great
started.
idea. Yeah, I think the only
So
notification I have popping up is my WhatsApp. But that's a great idea. I think I will shut down WhatsApp as well,
yeah,
in
because
terms of
what happens is
notification.
they have these. Sometimes you don't even get a message, but what it
Hmm.
shows is you may have a new message, is what it pops up.
Right.
And that makes you open
The
the
app.
app and use it. And then you
Yeah,
forget what you were doing in your life and you go back to
absolutely.
that safe zone.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
have shut off all of my notification. Every time I download something, I make sure that all of my notifications are off. So whenever I think of, okay, I need to text this person, so I open that particular app and go and check. So
Hmm.
this is what I do.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
I do now is I turn on my sleep mode to shut
Okay.
off my phone at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
So I know that by 9 o'clock, um, I'm not going to receive notifications. And by 9 o'clock, if my daughters are not with me, I would have spoken with them already by then because they will be in bed. So I'm not expecting anything urgent, unless I choose to go in to make a call at that point in time. But I just shut everything off at 9 o'clock until 6 in the morning. And I have
Yeah.
this reminder. So one of my reminders is not to take any calls between 6 and 10 o'clock in the morning, any personal calls or messages. So that's one of my
Yeah.
reminders. Yeah. Every morning, that time I keep that time free. So I don't take any calls between any personal calls, business calls, yes, but no personal calls between 6 and 11 in the morning, unless I choose to, if
Okay.
it's urgent.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think these
Yeah.
are
I don't
positive
get
habits.
personal calls.
Well, I think these are of course we have to find what works for us, and decides what we can accept and what we can't accept to help us be that better version of ourselves. Yeah.
That is true. Yeah.
Yes.
Lovely. Uh,
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the conversation between me and Cheese. And if you want to connect with him, you can just look for his name. His name is as unique as him. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until then, stay awesome, take care, bye.